Hi everyone, welcome to Nana's Tiny Kitchen. I'm doing sort of two videos today. One is my corned beef because St. Patrick's Day is coming up. And also I decided to try my hand in a Irish soda bread. Now, it was one of my favorites whenever I go into the supermarket around this time of year. I would pick up a loaf of Irish soda bread, but it was always filled with like all these fruits and everything, and I started doing some research. Come to find out that traditional Irish soda bread did not have fruit in it. Only on special occasions did they add maybe currants to it or raisins. But I kind of like that flavor in it. I just don't want too much of it. Like sometimes they throw in the cranberries and the nuts and the this and that. You know, I like a straight up more of a bread. So I started doing a little research and I found a lot of really cool facts about Irish soda bread. One of which was the thing about adding the currants. But another was the traditions that went along with. Now, all you guys know that I'm half Italian, and there's a lot of tradition in a lot of those recipes. And it, depending on the region that you go to in Italy, everybody thinks that they have the best recipe. And the same with the Spanish side of my family, too. I mean, Grandma could make it one way, and Mom makes it a different way, and everybody's got their own little recipes, and everybody thinks they have it the best. Now, if you go online and you're looking for an Irish soda bread, your head will explode. There's so many different variations. What I was looking for was the traditional, more simplistic version of what they might have cooked in their kitchens, because the Irish soda bread wasn't a special occasion loaf. They made this bread all the time, every day just about. And it was made to go with their soups and their stews, and they just had it every day. And long ago, I would imagine when they were heating their house with these gigantic fireplaces or stoves or whatever, that a portion of that was used to cook bread. So in my search for different recipes, I found that the more traditional would be a higher heat and a more simplistic form of ingredients. Although this one, I am going to add raisins to it because I like it, but you don't have to. If you want to make traditional Irish soda bread, there is no fruit in it. Okay, I have 4 cups of flour here that I sifted into a bowl. I added a teaspoon of baking soda, which Irish soda bread, that's where it gets it from. It's not from, there's no yeast in this bread. It's really, really easy to make. I also added a teaspoon of salt to this, and I added a tablespoon of sugar. Now, some of the breads that I've had before were more like on the scone side or like borderline sweet, but I'm thinking that that's not really the way that they made it traditionally. So I just have this all stirred together in this bowl, and in this cup I got 2 cups of buttermilk that I'm going to add to this. I've seen recipes where they're adding eggs and they're adding butter and they're adding zest of this and that and the other thing, but I'm thinking that's not the way that they made it in Granny's kitchen in Ireland. So I'm going to slowly add this 2 cups of buttermilk, get this mixed in until I can't mix it with my whisk anymore, and then I'm going to use my hands, because we all know that Mem or Grandma used her hands. And if you asked them for the recipe, it was all a matter of touch. They didn't, you know, they really didn't measure. It wasn't 1 cup of this or 2 cups of that. It was more of a feel. They did a lot of things by eye, which traditionally in baking is really difficult to do. But with this recipe, it should come out the way that they made it back in the day. See, now that it's sticking all inside my whisk, I'm actually going to use my hands for this, because I want to get in there and I want to mix it real good. Okay, let's get rid of this. I should have decided which hand I was going to use, because now I'm left-handed. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to rinse this right hand off, because I'm going to mix it with my left hand. Okay, make sure your hands are nice and clean. I'm going to pour this in. And it's somewhat of a sticky dough. Not too sticky, but it is a stickier dough. We don't want to overmix, but we do want to get all of our ingredients together. I should have brought over my little thing of flour just to add, just to make sure. Now at this point, I'm going to add in a cup of mixed raisins because I wanted to do it this way for this recipe, for my corned beef. And maybe with this same bread, if it comes out good, I could do a French toast with it. Yummy! It's like, really? Now I set my oven to 400 degrees. And my rack is one above center. And like I said, one of the videos that I've watched, you watch these little ladies making this recipe straight up from Ireland. And they would say that the breads were cooked at a very high temperature. Okay, this is coming together very, very well. But now I got a handful of, let me get a little bit more flour. And I guess I've baked enough where I can kind of feel, now I know what they're talking about when they say that they can feel. They do it by touch. Now, I've seen people cook this in a cast iron pan, which is actually kind of cool. I'm not going to do that. Oh, Lisa, really? You got your other hand. Shouldn't have done that. How are you going to answer the phone? I don't know. Okay, a little bit more flour. Get this all mixed together. Okay, let me finish mixing this up because both of my hands are getting nice and sticky, which means I'm not going to be able to pause this video, am I? No, I'll do it. Okay, I'm going to get this all mixed up, and then here I have one large 9-inch pan that I lightly greased. If you have some parchment paper, you can certainly put it down, and then we're going to get it in the oven. So, hold on. Okay, now I kneaded it for a couple of minutes. Adding that extra flour actually helped me get it nice and formed. So what I'm going to do is I greased the bottom of this with a little bit of Irish butter. And I'm going to put this in here. See, now I can handle it. Before it was like sticking to everything. It's beautiful. Fits perfectly into this pan. And by tradition, I'm going to score the top of the bread. Now, they did this for a couple of reasons. Number one, it was the sign of the cross to bless the bread. Now, we don't want to go all the way through the bottom, but we do want to give it a nice score. And I'm thinking traditionally they did this for not only a religious standpoint, but it also helps the bread bake evenly. So because it's kind of shaped like a little bit of a dome, you get an even cooking throughout the bread. And then they would take a spoon and they would poke, 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 poke. And that was to release the fairies. And I'm thinking it was probably for the same reason. You get a more even bake. And I'm going to get my little paintbrush thingy here because I want to put a little bit of milk over the top just to help mine with the browning process. But you don't have to. I just think in my oven, with my experience, I always have trouble getting things nice and brown. So adding this little bit of milk wash on the top will help. This is going to go into the oven. Like I said, it's set at 400 degrees. I've seen recipes do it at 375 for 50 minutes. I'm going to do 400 degrees, and I'm going to check it after 30 minutes. It'll probably be about 40 minutes total on the bake time. There we go. Okay, everyone, I pulled the soda bread out of the oven. It was about 50 minutes on 400 degrees. And like I said, it was the one up from the center. This was a really, really simple recipe. Let it sit out over here so it cools down a little bit, because I really would love to slice into it. But you could see all the delicious raisins in there. And it was like a tricolor blend of raisins that I used in this. Let me see, where is my knife? Because you know I gotta taste it. But I'm gonna post the recipe that I used for this. But and like I said in the beginning, there's 1,000 different recipes, because I'm sure whatever region you were from in that area, or whatever your grandmother made or mother made, everybody's got their own little twist. I tried to make it as simple as possible. I tried to do maybe a treat version of this by adding the raisins, because traditionally they did not add any fruit in this unless it was a special occasion. So let's see. I'm going to cut it right in half. Oh my goodness, look at that. Steamy and gorgeous. I just want to take a little tiny piece off the end if I could. And just get a taste of this. Wow. That's really good. Crunchy on the outside, moist, delicious. Okay, everyone. Like I said, I'm going to post the recipe. Try it. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know what your family recipe was, and if it was different from this. I'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, I'm going to cut this video because I got my corned beef that I got to finish putting together. Okay, everyone? Bye.